Hi, this is Dennis Gage. Welcome to another edition of My Classic Car. Today we're in Collinsville, Illinois as guests of the Corvair Society of America at their 1998 National Convention. The Chevrolet Corvair, with its unique rear-engine design, has had a devoted following for over 30 years. This year's convention has brought together over 300 Corvairs and their owners. Joining me now is Robert Landers, the co-chair of this year's event.
Hi, Dennis.
Robert, this is a great event you got going here.
Thank you.
Now, you're also part of the local club that's hosting it, right?
Yes, I am, the Show Me Corvair Club of St. Louis, Missouri.
Now, you move this event around the country every, 3 years?
Every 3 years it comes to the Midwest. The other 2 years we rotate the coast.
Now, this is also not just a day event. We're here at the car show, but this is a mini Splendor thing, is that right?
Sure, it's a week long. It's a week long. We start with racing on Wednesday and we end with racing on Saturday again.
Now, the people think of the Corvair typically as the Corvair, but it's really a lot of models.
Sure, there's station wagons, there's Greenbrier minivans, there were also pickup trucks, and there are 4 doors, 2 doors, and convertibles, something for everyone.
Absolutely. There's even an RV.
Sure, it was produced on a factory line back in the 60s with brand new Corvair engines at the time.
Wow. Now, most of these cars are driven here, too. There's some trailer, but most of them are driven?
That's correct, Dennis. This is a driver's event.
Yeah, well, it's a driver's car.
It sure is.
Well, Robert, you got a great event. I can't wait to get around and see some more of these babies. Thanks so much for having us.
Well, thanks for coming, Dennis.
Hey, we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to My Classic Car and the Corvair National Convention. In just a few minutes, we'll take a closer look at some of the unique vehicles gathered here. But before we do that, it's time for this week's Classic Designers and Engineers feature.
Joseph Oros is a rare person in automotive history. Very few can claim to have been part of 4 decades of car design for 3 different car companies. His career began in 1939 as a design trainee at GM.
I was very excited. I was so excited I couldn't keep from smiling constantly. Bill Mitchell finally said, "You better wipe that off, Joe, that smile of yours, because you're going to have to prove yourself in this department." I always wanted to have my own business in industrial design. I thought if I'd start with a name designer in industrial design, learn the business for about 2 years, then I'd be prepared to hang up my own shingle. I talked with George Walker. We hit it off very well, and he offered me an increase to the job I had with the Cadillac Engineering by doubling my salary. Walker also had, of course, the Nash account at the time, and about a year later, Walker received a request from Ford Motor to compete with the Ford Design Office for the design of the '49 Ford car.
As it turned out, the design chosen for the body of the '49 Ford was done for Walker by another consultant, Dick Khalil. But Ford management demanded a different front end.
One of the big things they wanted was a distinct statement that would say, this is a brand new generation. This is Henry Ford's first car, and he wanted to make a dramatic statement. At that point, I said, "George, I think a spinner front end would work," and I showed him my sketches. He said, "Do it."
Ford was so impressed by Oros and Walker that they kept the firm as consultants until 1955, at which point they were hired by Ford full-time. Joe moved from the Ford Truck Division and became chief stylist for Ford Styling Studio.
His ability to know what Henry Ford wanted for a Ford car cannot be underestimated. He has got the life of a Ford car in his blood. He's responsible for the '64 Mustang. You can't deny that. That made that studio.
And we made lists of everything we were going to do and not do. And one of the things was for sure, we weren't going to do anything that had previously been done. There was only one criticism from management on our Mustang. Mr. Ford sat in the rear seat, at which point he said, I guess we got to get some more room in here. And I said, yes, sir, we can do that.
I wish he was back in the light, because we've lost a star, okay? I don't think Ford will ever have that star again.
The Corvair Society of America's International Convention is a week-long celebration, and as it turned out, that's a good thing, because rain washed out the main judging day. But the weather gods delivered warmth and sunshine the following day, and the host hotel parking lot was filled with hundreds of beautifully restored cars. The Corvair was a revolutionary design in an evolutionary period of automobile development. The first Corvair went on sale in the fall of 1959 as a 1960 model, and Motor Trend magazine quickly proclaimed it Car of the Year. Its radical design included an aluminum, air-cooled, horizontally opposed six-cylinder engine mounted in the rear, and a fully independent suspension. Poor sales, bad publicity, and the pony car revolution brought the end of Corvair production in May 1969. Archie, a 67 Monza Sport Coupe, right?
Right. Corvair Monza Coupe.
Sport Coupe means two-door.
Two-door hardtop.
Well, this one seems to be sporting a little bit more chrome than normal.
Right. That's, if it won't go, chrome it. That's our theory.
Houndstooth interior.
Yeah.
This thing's a beauty.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at the engine.
Okay.
Well,
Hey, Dennis, this way.
just kidding,
Wrong
just
way.
kidding. I know that, I know that.
Yeah, right.
Well, you got some chrome back here, too.
Racer Brown, 40 years ago. If
But
it
don't
won't go,
chrome it.
Yeah, we chrome it.
Now, you've won some awards with this car.
Yeah, we did. We got the best of show with this car last year at Lake Placid, New York.
We've chromed everything. The,
Yeah.
the hinge and everything. Wow.
Yeah, it adds to it, I think.
Now, what engine is this? This is the 164?
Yep, 164 cubic inch, 110 horsepower.
Oh, yeah, it looks sweet. Now, I've always liked this late model body design because it just seems to flow so nicely.
Right. I feel it was a car way ahead of its time, and we've just made them better. We've got better tires now.
Yep.
And so many things to go with them that they're just a better car than they were then.
How'd you even chrome the master cylinder?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stainless there. That cap is covered, and the master cylinder is self-painted.
Well, it looks great. You've done a great job, Archie. Thanks
you,
so much
Dennis.
for sharing it with us.
Appreciate
You
it.
even got trick wheels on it. Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Thanks a lot.
Well, Jeff, this is a very nice early specimen. This is 62,
Yes, sir.
but it's got a lot of firsts. Is that right?
Yes, Dennis. It represents the first year in Corvairs where they were convertible, offered with a convertible and a turbocharger. This was one of 2,574 built in 62.
Now, this looks pretty loaded. I mean, you've got a beautiful interior in this.
Well, it has quite a few options. The seatbelts were optional. The dash clock is also optional. The tissue dispenser, and most notably the gasoline heater, which is extremely rare.
Tissue dispenser, too?
Well, you know, if it's a windy day, you get a fly in your eye or something.
Yes, I understand. So what does a turbocharged 62 Corvair
Well, let's
engine
take a
look
look. It has a little more chrome and a few more horses than a normally aspirated Corvair. It puts out 150 horsepower, and it features a Carter side draft carburetor. It runs real well and puts out about 8 pounds of boost.
Gets up and goes.
Gets up and goes, and the freeway is really where it comes alive.
Now, I also noticed you have a window sticker on this baby. What did a fully loaded 62 Corvair go for back in 62?
This one just under $3,000, which may have been a little high price for a car in that day, but this is fully loaded, and that represents all the options and whatnot.
Well, it's beautiful, and you've done a fabulous job on it. Thanks for sharing it with
Thanks.
us.
Thank you for coming by.
You bet. So, Jim, let me get this straight. It's a 61 Corvair 95 Ramside pickup.
That's correct.
That's a long name.
You betcha.
Now, they didn't make many of these, did they?
Only a little better than 10,000 in 1961, but in 1964, the final year of production, they only built 851 Ramside pickups.
Wow. Now, what did the 95 stand for?
95 stands for a 95-inch wheelbase.
That's it. It's not
That's
horsepower,
it.
it's not cubic inch,
not
it's
cubic inches.
wheelbase.
95-inch wheelbase.
Now, that's got a really attractive interior. That's really pretty.
Why, thank you. That's an interior. It's a stock pattern interior. I said fabrics do differ from the original, but it is in the stock pattern. And it does fit the truck
It
very
looks
well.
great. But, you know, the thing that I think is just so cool about this truck is the ramp side.
You bet.
Show me what a ramp side is.
Show you how it works. So that's all we do is just take this little latch and
The side
and
becomes
the
a ramp.
The side becomes a ramp.
Hence the name. And then with
the
that
name.
down, you can just like cruise up in there, right?
Cruise up in there, and
And it's very spacious.
you can put in refrigerators or
And the engine's back there with
the
the
engine's
Corvette.
back there.
Corvair
The
is.
entire Unipack drivetrain is right there in the rear where it belongs.
Well, this thing is really unique. It's really cool. Jim,
Well,
thanks so much.
Thank you much, Dennis, and really nice show.
Well,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you, sir.
You bet.
I got to get one of these.
All right.
Well, David, I enjoyed the riding this so much I had to talk to you about it. This is an original unrestored Yanko.
Yes, it is. 28,000 original miles.
Is that right? What year?
1966.
Now, what did Don do to this to make it a Yanko?
Well, he extensively modified the engine, the suspension, the brakes. He made it whatever would make it legal and competitive in SCCA road racing.
And it is competitive. Let's look at that Yanko modified engine.
Okay, this is a Stage 2 engine.
And what made it a Stage 2? Wow.
Well, he's got high compression pistons, a hot cam, Lighten flywheel,
and dynoed at what?
175 horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it does move. It's got a really good throaty sound. I love that. Well, I don't know. I might have to have one of these. How do you hotwire one of these, by the way? Hey, thanks, David.
Anytime.
Well, Don, this is a 66, but
Right.
it's not like any 66 I've ever seen. It grew a little.
Well, there's a little modification there.
A little. It's a stretch.
Now I made it into a stretch limousine.
Well, you know, I would think a Corvair as a limousine is a stretch to begin with, but you did it, and it looks great.
Well, I used a 66 four-door for the front and a 65 four-door for the back, and
what's in the middle?
And then took some doors that were left over and modified them to make the large door for the center.
Oh, now does it have all the stuff that a limousine has inside?
Oh, well, let's look and see.
Let's do. Oh, wow. It's got everything.
Well, I tried to do what a luxury limousine would have, and I have the bottle of champagne with the glasses. I have a color TV, a VCR.
Well, you know, this is really so cool. You don't suppose we could, go for a little cruise in this? Do you?
Well, sure, let's do that.
I mean, like, once around the park
right.
Jeeves type thing?
Okay, that would be
All right,
fine
well,
with me.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Our feature this week is about the 1958 Chrysler 300D, the last letter car to roll off the assembly line with the famous Firepower Hemi V8. Well, it's mid-December and I'm in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Whose idea was that? But I'm warm inside with John Balow. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis.
Well, John's the owner of Muscle Car Restoration, and you do muscle car restorations.
Yes, we sure do.
Now, any one point in time, you got how many projects?
25.
25. Keeps you busy.
Yes.
Well, I like this one. This is pretty cool.
This is a 67 Plymouth GTX convertible.
On a rotisserie.
On a rotisserie. And as you can see, we just freshly painted this car yesterday.
Did. And what color did you paint it?
This is daffodil yellow.
Daffodil yellow. An original color?
An original color.
Not one of my choices, but nice nonetheless. Now, what I did want to talk to you about was another restoration you did for Ron Johnson. And it's of this stunning 1958 Chrysler 300D. This is a beautiful car and a beautiful job.
Thank you, Dennis.
Now, how tough a restoration was it?
This restoration took us about 4 years. A lot of metal fabrication went into this car and a lot of effort.
Well, it is beautiful now, let me tell you. Now, I always love these cars because of what's under the hood. This thing was called the Banker's Hot Rod because it was so fast. It had the Firepower V8 Hemi.
The 392 cubic inches, 2 four-barrel carburetors, dual exhaust, factory rated at 380 horsepower, really fun to drive.
Oh, could really cruise on down the road. Now, this was the last year for the Hemi too, wasn't it?
That's correct.
A lot of glass in this car. Windshield had 11 square feet alone. But I like the interior of this. This had a lot of care taken and a lot of thought taken to the layout of it. Even the headliner is something different.
Yes, in the early years, Chrysler color-keyed the inside of the convertible tops to match the headliner bows.
And the seats, you were telling me something unique about the seats?
The seats all have a metallic leather seating surface, and that's special to the early Chrysler cars, and it helped in the wear.
And you had to have those special manufactured?
We had to have those specially made, that's correct.
Well, this car doesn't have air conditioning as an option.
Nor does it have the original record player.
The record player, these came with record players occasionally?
Occasionally you could order those.
Didn't catch on though, did it?
Not
No.
hardly.
The gauges are beautiful, push-button transmission, power windows. Ooh. But I always love the quarter panels. These things are huge.
They're 8 feet long, Dennis, and a lot of time and effort went into making them straight.
A lot of metal too, I imagine. A lot of chrome back here, stunning taillights.
And a huge trunk.
A 50s trunk. Size of a Honda Civic. Boy. Now I'll bet you this thing looks as good underneath as it does up top.
I'll bet it does too, Dennis.
Well, now, John, this thing's a monster. I hope that's a sturdy lift.
It's a very sturdy lift, Dennis.
Okay, well, let's check it out. Oh, it is beautiful. The finish on the frame is stunning. Now, how about the exhaust pipes? They look great.
The exhaust pipes were bent at our local muffler shop to the computer cards for this car and individually sent in and HPC coated.
Oh, and a huge cross frame back here.
Very heavy duty
and
for
these
the
are
convertible.
NOS mufflers?
NOS mufflers, and as you can see, HPC coated as well.
Now, this car's got some miles on it since the
This
restoration.
car's got 4,000 miles on it since restoration, and it still looks great.
I can see myself in the frame. I love it. And all the way back out to the straight pipes out the back.
Out the back.
Well, now, I've been kidding you about Eau Claire in winter, but in fact, it's sunny, it's dry, and it's 45 degrees out. We gotta drive this car.
Let's go drive the car.
Let's go drive the car. So is it always this nice up here in December?
Not always.
Not always. It sure does ride nice.
It's truly a luxury car with a high-performance engine.
I'll say. Now, this time of year in Eau Claire, you should actually have to have a snow blade on the front of this, shouldn't you?
We should be plowing snow today, but so much for the El Nino winter.
Well, it's also a very expensive car.
It was nearly $6,000, and that's back in a time when three-bedroom homes were around $15,000. So it was very, very expensive for its time.
Well, it was fun just watching people as we're driving out here, looking and pointing and waving at the car. It does turn heads, doesn't it?
It's a beautiful raven black.
Yes,
It
that
turns,
it is.
and it turns heads.
What a ride, what a ride. I tell you, John, this is one beautiful car.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for sharing it with us. This was great. You made my day.
The pleasure is all mine.
And Wisconsin.
In December.
Thanks again.